Once you have seen that Jesus is the one through whom the world was made, and that he was in the world, fully human, fully sharing history with the rest of us, something else follows quite naturally. It's what John says. Jesus is the light. Chapter 1 and verse 9 of John's Gospel. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. YouTube is great. YouTube is great because at last I'm able to learn a whole bunch of stuff which no one's been able to teach me up until now, because I keep wanting to say, please don't just tell me, show me. And now people can show me. And, if people can't show me stuff, I don't believe they're the ones to help me. Now, it's great for, like, how to tie knots. It's less good for how to live your life to the full. Because until Jesus appears in history, the only way for the majority of the population to answer that question, how can I live life to the full, is by looking at each other. We do what everybody else does, what seems to be working for them. And without Jesus, that's still where most people get their life lessons. How should I go about living? That's why we're all messed up, isn't it? We've all been learning life from people who didn't understand it themselves. There's no shortage of advice, but everyone who gives it is a product of the system. Our system. Our system for living in this world, the one that's evolved through centuries of lies, broken promises, greed, self-deceit, wars, selfishness. Everyone's a product of that system. And from that system, lots of people can talk a good life, but can't show it. They are not the light of the world. Jesus is not a product of the system. He doesn't need life lessons from messed up people. John says, verse 4, in him was life, and that life was the light of men. So he can not just talk the good life, but he can demonstrate the good life. He can show everyone he is the light. But, and the next bit really shouldn't surprise us, the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. The two things that we can expect, both from reading John's Gospel and from our own experience as we get to know Jesus. One thing we can expect is our mind will be blown, because we're a product of the system. And we will be hearing things that challenge that system to its core. The second thing we can expect is opposition to Jesus from some of the people around us. No one for whom the system is working wants anything to do with Jesus. He makes no sense to them. And they see him, quite rightly, as a threat to their system. Read John's Gospel and we'll see that. And you'll see how the opposition comes to the surface and eventually decides this real light source has got to be switched off. But that wasn't a success either. Jesus still is the true light that gives light to everyone. And the only way for our lives to be anything other than a product of the system. If you have been, thank you for listening.